Hi there, and welcome to another episode of Living the Midlife Dream with me, Danielle Mauger. You guys, episode 4. This is exciting. Thank you so much for tuning in every week and listening and giving me some of your time. I really, really, really appreciate it. So, today we are going to talk about this idea that we're too old. It's too late. We missed our chance. And we might as well, like our ship has sailed, so we might as well just sit back and put on the sweatpants and give up on life. That, I think, is what society tells us or has been telling us is what midlife would look like. You know, I was walking with a friend the other day and we were talking about that idea, this whole idea. And, you know, we were just saying, like, it's like you go to school, you graduate, you get a job, you have kids, you raise the kids, you retire from your job, and then you just go off and die. Basically. Basically. I mean, that's why I think there's so much fear around midlife and turning 50 and being this age. And it's crazy. And I think a lot of it has to do with we've always been told and what to expect. Like, here's what's going to happen in your 20s. And then in your 30s, you're going to be raising kids. And then in your 40s, it's like every decade, you know, we've known what to do. And then you get to this point and you're like, wait, what? What's happening here? But we just need to reframe it, I think, and reframe it to this is such an exciting time. I mean, we get to literally decide exactly what we want to do. And I just think that's so lucky. Like, it's really, really lucky. So let's start there with reframing midlife and how we look at it. You honestly, I know I said this in the first episode, but if you're 50 years old and we're going to live to be 100, and of course we are, we're at the halfway point. So for the next 50 years, are you just going to be sitting around doing nothing, or are you going to live and do exactly what you want? I'm going to tell you right now what you're going to do. You're going to live and you're going to do exactly what you want. And today we're going to start baby steps. We're going to figure it out. And we're going to go after it. I think a lot of us get caught up in stories, too, that we tell ourselves, or like I was saying with, you know, society tells us. And believe me, I don't want to brag, but I am a master storyteller when it comes to stories in my mind. Or at least I should say I have been a master storyteller. I have really been working on myself and I have come a long way in the past year, but I do know what it's like to tell those stories and then you start believing them. And then next thing you know, you're not living to your full capacity. So that's the whole point of today's episode is figuring out what we want and living to our full capacity if you're feeling down or if you're feeling like stuck, basically. So how are we going to figure this out? This is what I want you to start with. I love this idea. I came up with it earlier today. And this would be a great meditation too. But I want you to take a few minutes and maybe just do this tonight before bed. You could even do it while you're falling asleep. But I want you to imagine a whiteboard in your mind, and it has all of the negative thoughts or anything that you thought about midlife or anything that you're thinking about, like where you are in life right now that you're not happy with. And you are going to erase the whiteboard. Just erase the whole thing, nice and clean. I want you to imagine a nice, clean, crisp whiteboard. Because basically that's where you are in midlife. You have a whiteboard of possibilities. So you're just going to lay there and start dreaming. Fall asleep to a nice dream about exactly what you want. And that's how we're going to figure this out. Like, just start dreaming. I think we don't do that enough. And I know it sounds kind of corny and cliche and cringy and all these things, but honestly, just start thinking about, like, what do I want? You might have a great life and you may be saying to yourself, I am pretty damn happy. And you know what? Absolutely amazing. I think every single person should be feeling that way about their life. And if they're not, then we're going to figure it out. So start by dreaming, number 1. Okay, number 2, we're going to get into excuses that keep you stuck. And yes, excuses. So let's say you know what you want to do. You want to start a podcast. like me. And you're thinking, but I just don't have the time. I don't have the time. I'm working a full-time job. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I don't have time. I guarantee, I love you so much, but I guarantee that you do have time. If you have time to scroll endlessly on social media, and if you have time to binge watch shows on Netflix, I mean, I know I'm pointing out obvious things here, but just really think about that and start to a really good actionable step you could take would be to audit your days. Go through your days and think to yourself about, okay, am I doing anything here that I don't need to be doing? Like social media, scrolling. I mean, we all do that. I do it, of course, but I put a timer on my, on my Instagram app on any social media so that it's like I set the timer for 15. I'm not allowed on there for more than 15 minutes a day because you can so get sucked in. And the next thing you know, it's like, oh my God, 45 minutes went by. So I think that's a great place to start. Think about where you can habit stack things. And a good example of that is I like to meditate. I like to do sauna. So I usually do those two things together. That's a form of habit stacking. If you want to learn more about that, I learned all about it in that book, Atomic Habits by James Clear. Great book. So habit stacking. So when you do things like that, it's just, you're saving more time. So you want to be able to say, if you're saying to me, I don't have time to start a podcast. Well, if you could just even get 15 minutes a day to start, and that you'll use those 15 minutes to start researching. What does it take? Or send me an email and say, hey, can you help me? I want to learn how to do this. I won't be the best at, as I am still learning myself, but I am happy to help in any way possible. But anyway, back to the actionable step of, finding those 15 minutes. One of the things when I wanted to start this podcast and I was like, oh gosh, I don't know if I have any time. Meanwhile, I had plenty of time, but I was sleeping in until I woke up, didn't set an alarm. So I would sleep in until 6:30, 7 o'clock, and then shuffle around in my robe for a while. Then I'd go work out. And, by the time I got home and was eating breakfast, it's 11 o'clock. It's like, oh my God, the day's over. So I started using my Hatch, which I talked about 2 weeks ago, and waking up early. So I'm getting up at 5:30 just so that I can still enjoy. I really enjoy my mornings slow. I like wearing my robe and slippers. And Kevin and I have coffee together every single morning. And I like that time. So, and he gets up early too. So now it's by 6:30, I've had my coffee. Kevin and I have talked. And I'm ready to get going on the day. And it's much, much better. So just start thinking about ways you can do that. Audit your days is basically what I'm saying, to find those 15 minutes. All right. So here's what I want you to do next. We're going to, number one, decide what you want, not what your kids want, not what your spouse wants. You are doing what you want to do. What do you want to do? Without thinking about anybody else's opinions. Nothing else matters. If no one had an opinion on anything, you don't care. What is it that you want? Write that down. So you're going to take 5-10 minutes. You're going to grab a notebook, open the notes in your phone, write it all down, keep it right there, look at it every day, add to it. Then you're going to take one small action every single day towards this. So we're just going to stick with the idea of a podcast. If, you want to do a podcast, let's say you're going to take one small step, you're going to just Google it. How do I start a podcast? I mean, you don't have to there's no timeline. You don't have to put that pressure on yourself. Just start with small steps saying, okay, I'm going to devote 15 minutes, 3 days a week this week to figuring out how I start a podcast, and start there and you can start learning. So whatever your goal is, this is easy, actionable, small, little steps. Maybe it's to work out, get back into working out. Maybe it's to prepare more healthy meals and get into meal planning. Whatever it is, you're going to spend 15 minutes, 3 days a week researching that topic. Okay? Easy. And then let's see. Number 3, you are going to surround yourself with people that are expanders, people that think big, dream big, and actually do things. If you can't think of anybody that you know personally off the top of your head, listen to podcasts, read books, go on YouTube. There's so much to learn. There's so many valuable free resources out there. And just start listening to people that motivate and empower you and encourage you. You know, a huge, big one is Mel Robbins and her Let Them Theory book. I'm sure you guys have heard me talk about that. I really, really believe that her book was the final push for me to do this podcast and to be posting more on social media, because I really, really I've been wanting to do it. But, you know, you let all these stories come into your mind, like, is anyone going to listen? If I post something, what if only 5 people like it? You know, or what if somebody says something mean? Or so all of those thoughts were always going through my head, but I was taking little steps and then taking a step backward. And when I listened to her Audible book, I listened to her podcast, it just, something finally clicked, and it has been amazing. So for me, she is the ultimate expander for me. So I would say start with Mel Robbins if you're at a loss for where to go and what to listen to. The Let Them Theory book is absolutely amazing. Okay, and then moving on to mindset, which I sort of touched on at the beginning. You know, your mind, in regards to like the stories that you're telling yourself, it can be your biggest cheerleader or your biggest roadblock, right? For me, most of the past few years, it's been the biggest roadblock for me. And now I would say I'm in the cheerleader mode, right back to my high school roots. But in all seriousness, if your default setting is, you know, I can't do this, it's too late, you know, all the excuses that you've been talking to yourself about, you just need to really work on reprogramming that. Start with daily affirmations. I know it sounds cheesy, but words really do have power. And every morning you can look at yourself and say affirmations, look at yourself and say, I'm old, or you can look at yourself and say, oh my God, I am at the halfway point. I have like so much life left to live. Let's go, baby. But if that doesn't feel authentic to you, you could do what I do. And I have Post-it notes all over the place. I have affirmations on them. I have them in my wallet. I have them on my mirror. I have them in my little home office. I have them in my car. They're just little affirmations, and they are something that resonate with me. I mean, if it feels inauthentic and it's just like, I don't believe that, then it's not going to work. So find things that you can really believe in and that resonate with you, and think about that. Gabby Bernstein is a really good resource for this. She's an author and I love her meditations as well, but look her up. She's got some great affirmations on her site and also on Instagram. You could follow her. But I really believe in the affirmations and the visualizing and everything that we tell ourselves. So start heading down that road. The other thing you could do is journal. And I have heard people talk about journaling in the morning before they do anything else. I've tried that. For me, it doesn't work for me, but it might work for you. And it's just more about, no matter how small, documenting your progress with whatever it is that you're working on. So that's something that you could try too. And it doesn't even, you could even have like your notes app in your phone, and just every day put down something that you did, and it'll help you feel like, all right, I'm making progress here. It's good to look back on things because, you know, we forget. We're living our lives, and it's always good to go back and read something, be like, oh yeah, all right, I started there and now I'm here. And it's good to see progress. All right, so here's the truth that I'm going to end on. You are not too old, and it is certainly not too late. Your next chapter is literally just sitting here waiting for you. But you have to do the work. You have to figure out what you want to do. You are the one to turn the page and move on and go out there and do this life. We only get one chance. So why in the world would we waste it? You guys, we're young. We can do whatever the freak we want. All you have to do is figure it out. That's the fun part. You get to dream about what you want. And whatever it is you want, you can go after it. You have the power within you. to be, do, and have absolutely anything you want. I really believe that, and I want you to start believing it too, because it's true. I can't wait to see what you come up with. All right, so now you just have to figure out what you're going to do. And I just want you, if you have been telling yourself the story that you're too old and you're too late, we're going to reframe that. Please take the eraser to the whiteboard in your mind and go after whatever it is you want. You are beautiful, you are capable, and you got this. All right, ladies, I'm going to leave you on that note. Thank you so much for listening. I cannot wait to hear what you're working on. Please send me a message. I would love to know. And if I can help you in any way, please, please, please reach out. Have a great day. Please subscribe, listen again, share, review, all the things. You guys, I'll talk to you next Monday. Take care.